Hello, everybody, and welcome to another, by God, the last time we recorded one of these intros, there wasn't a war in the Ukraine episode of Poddywood, the show where we talk about movies with the people who make movies. I am one of your co-hosts, Steve Hester, and with me, as always, is...
Well, that'd be me, Andrew Roger Carson. Forgive me, I am eating a piece of cheese.
Really?
Yeah. I know it's totally unprofessional, but the thing is, it's like, can you put up with me for like 1 minute of chewing, or can you put up with me for probably 2 hours of my stomach saying, "Where's the food?"
Wow, if we're recording this for 2 hours, then... Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
You complete dick. Did you even forget the format of the show?
I did, yeah. No, yeah, we definitely record for 2 hours. We don't record the intro separate at all.
No, we don't. We don't. But anyway, I would have loved a nice, maybe cheese, ham, and pickle sandwich. But I guess you're here to provide the ham with your review of Babe.
Yes. Yes, not much in the way of banter this week, so we're going to get straight into the review of last week's What's in the Box, which was...
Well, there's a war on.
I know.
It is March, though, so happy March, everyone.
Yes, hello. By the time this goes out, we could all be dead in the fires of nuclear warfare, but hopefully not.
So give us a like first.
So, yes, Babe, a movie from happier times, 1995, I think it was, back when I was at school, and this movie came out, and I remember everyone was watching it apart from me, and it wasn't kind of like through a particular choice, it was just one of those movies that I just didn't watch at the time. That's pretty much it. It's the story of a young pig called Babe, who gets taken in by a farmer called Hoggett, played by James Cromwell, who I just think is wonderful in everything.
Yes.
And he then becomes a sheep pig when the two sheepdogs at the farm are put out of commission. And it's a very charming story. It's based on the book by Dick King-Smith called The Sheep Pig, and I do remember that always going around school. Loads of people were reading that. There was always at least one person in every English class that was reading The Sheep Pig at some point in time. And it feels like a Chris Columbus film at times. It's not. It's got that kind of atmosphere, that kind of warm, kind of enveloping feeling that you get from something like Home Alone or like the earlier Harry Potters. Even the music's got like a John Williams-y kind of feel to it. And watching this movie, I was struck by how it's an English book, but the primary cast in it are American, with some notable exceptions. And it looks like it was filmed in England, but it wasn't. It was filmed in Australia. And You don't know when it was set. You don't know where it's set. It's just at this point in time that feels like just post-war Middle England. With
exceptional cinematography to make it so.
Gorgeous. Just green rolling hills and this wonderful warm feeling from the atmosphere of the movie. It's like something out of Lord of the Rings at times. It reminded me of the Shire.
I knew that was coming. I knew you couldn't get away with it.
I couldn't, no, because the barn is pretty much turfed.
Yeah.
In terms of performances, you've got everything focusing on the animals themselves, and the animated mouths, which were marvellous at the time, have not held up well.
No.
The puppetry more so, but it is painfully obvious now, seeing the difference between the live-action animals and the puppets. I think CGI has spoiled us.
It has very much spoiled us, and this... I think this is actually the movie that kind of started that CGI talking animal craze that then leaked into like Dr. Dolittle and everything else. I think this was the first time I ever saw that.
Yeah, I think it was for most people. I mean, they tried to attempt it before then, but they just like get a shot of a dog chewing on some peanut butter or something, and then they dub someone's voice over it to match. This was the first time that they actually were able to animate a mouth talking.
Yes. And it was directed by a first-time director as well.
Oh, was it?
Yes, Chris Noonan. It was his first movie. Of course, he's gone on to direct since. He's an Australian director. He directed the Beatrix Potter movie with Renee Zellweger, Miss Potter.
Right. Okay.
So he went on to direct that, and he was mainly before this. He was a writer, so he'd written stuff in Australia like Stepping Out, and there was a TV miniseries called Vietnam, which was about the Australian soldiers in Vietnam, which was pretty good. I remember seeing it. And the funniest thing about this is it was actually released on the year of the pig.
Which does make a lot of sense.
1995.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'd say it was the year of the pig, apart from all of those pork sales in the US that dropped by 20% that year because of this movie.
Yeah, that was another thing that I remember from that time period, is just everyone was just going, oh no, look at the cute pig, we have to stop eating bacon. And then 5 minutes later, they'd be eating bacon again.
Yeah.
Well, I was anyway.
It affected them for 20%.
Yes.
I mean, the amazing thing is, I mean, a lot of people really think that this is a George Miller movie because he was a producer on it, and it was his dream project. He spent 10 years trying to bring this to the screen, and it was mainly because the visual effects were not available to make it up until that point. So realistically, when you look at it, this is George Miller's Avatar.
Yeah. Wow, that's one weird way to think about it, yeah.
Yes. And I mean, the biggest star in there is James Cromwell, the man who paid for his own Oscar campaign for Best Actor. You really believed he was bringing home the bacon.
Oh,
but
God.
You know, if he would have paid more attention to the script, he would have realised he was in it for more than 17 lines. Because apparently he thought it was just a really quick and easy project because he thumbed through the script, so he had like 17 lines. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I'll do it. And then he actually has more screen time in the movie than he's ever had in a movie in his life.
He doesn't say much at all, does he?
No, you know, which is good. You don't have to memorize any lines. Like, go and walk in that field and whistle.
Yeah.
You know, so and then have the nerve to pay for his own Oscar campaign.
Fair play to him. At least he believed in the project. Yeah.
He got nominated. That's the main thing. And the things I love about this movie, as I mentioned before, the cinematography is standout. The visual effects for their day were great.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you can get away with them nowadays because of that age. There's some nice music in it, actually.
Yeah.
I watched it again.
It does have a John Williamsy kind of feel.
Yes.
And I think that was why I was thinking it's got that kind of Chris Columbus feel to it as well.
Yes, and also a little bit of trivia for you. And I know you're a big Matrix fan, so did you know that there were 2 Agent Smiths in this movie?
Yes, I did. Well, 2 of the agents anyway, because you got Hugo Weaving, and I watched it with the kids, so I missed the actual cast credits at the very beginning. Because we were sorting out some dinner and just trying to get them quiet and settle down. So I missed Hugo Weaving's voice, but as soon as the dog spoke, it was like, "Is that Hugo Weaving?" Oh yes, it was. And yeah, the other one I can't remember his name, but he's the guy that plays Cromwell's son or son-in-law. Yeah, he's one of the other agents from it as well, which makes sense if it was filmed in Australia because they would have got local talent.
Yes, and it seems they only have 10 people.
Yes.
And one of them's Sam Neill. But he obviously wasn't available.
The only thing that I don't like about this movie is the mice.
You know the reason why they were put in there? Because apparently, I reckon that was a studio deal.
Probably.
So it's like, we need to let people know what's going on. Because they're too ignorant to actually pay attention. We need these mice to pretty much tell us the story.
I've never liked the chipmunks.
No.
I've hated them. I would quite happily take Alvin, Simon, and Theodore and drop them into a blender. So these mice, it's just like, oh God, no, please, no. I don't need squeaky renditions of songs. I've lived through that kind of weird phase of hip hop in the early 2000s where that was a thing. Just no, stop it.
But yeah, so Babe was one of the biggest hits of that year, also, and it was a surprising one. I remember when it came out and everyone was going Babe crazy. It's like, where has this movie just come from? You know, and it was up against movies like Apollo 13. You had Die Hard with a Vengeance around that time. You had Casper, which was the other family-friendly movie. And then you had Under Siege 2, which, you know, well...
was Under Siege 2.
So, yeah, Babe was... It was just a major phenomenon movie. It's not something you'd have with a Happy Meal. You know, there's no Babe toys coming out with your McDonald's sausage and bacon McMuffin.
One thing that I did like about it is it's rather forthright in what actually happens.
Yes.
You know, they do say, oh, the pigs go away somewhere else. But they never kind of shy away from the fact that they are animals and they do get eaten at some point. Like, there's the bit where Ferdinand is talking about his the duck, the goose that they end up. No, was it a duck? Whatever, the bird that ended
duck
up
goose.
Duck goose that got killed for Christmas dinner, and he's quite sad about it. And was thinking, oh, that is actually true. They're going to have something for Christmas. And like I say, I was watching it with the kids, and I asked them afterwards, and they saying, "Well, yeah, it's a good film, but it's very sad. But at the ending, it was happy in a sad way." Which kind of sums it up. But so, yeah, they didn't like the beginning though.
Dark children's movies that we all used to grow up with.
I know. God, I miss them.
Yes. So you recommend Babe for anyone who has not seen it?
Yeah, I do. Like I say, I don't like the mice. They can just go swivel. But the rest of the movie it's a lovely, charming, and very, very warm family film. I don't know much about the sequel, other than the fact that you can tell that the sequel was in trouble because they made that trope of taking X character and then moving them to a completely different location. That was the opposite of the location in the first movie. But this one, it's a really nice story. Yeah, go out, rent it.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, with that in mind, I guess we need to go and seek into some anniversaries, Steve.
We watch them again all of the time, or we get them on Prime for free. But we only know how old they are when we learn their anniversary.
We will get some new music for the next series, I promise.
Yes. We'll figure something out. We'll have to pester Neil for some new tracks. Anniversaries. Well, I've pulled out 4 this week that were worthy of mention.
Okay.
And the first one, can you believe, Steve? 35 years ago this week, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 Dream Warriors was released.
Funnily enough, that is the only one that I've seen.
Really?
Really.
You've not even seen the original?
Oh, no, I've seen the original. Or the remake. Not seen any of them.
Wow. Okay, how come you've seen this one but not the others?
I was at a friend's house and he was pretty into his horror. And it was the first time I saw Evil Dead 2 as well. I think it was about...
Well, that's going to be eerie.
I don't know, 14, 15 or something like that. And yeah, it was just like, oh, God, I don't think I like this film.
Well, can you believe this was actually the debut of another director, Chuck Russell.
Oh, really?
This was his first movie, and he went on to direct the remake of The Blob, the immensely classic The Mask, starring Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And then over the last couple of years, he's kind of really, I wouldn't say vanished, but some very weird choices in his directing. He directed a Bollywood movie called Jungly.
Okay.
Which is kind of strange because he directed a lot of big movies like Eraser, The Scorpion King, movies that made reasonable amounts of money.
Yeah, I can't say that either Eraser or The Scorpion King were very good movies, but yeah, they were successful.
They shifted some money.
Actually, Eraser, James Cromwell. There you
go. Yeah. James Cromwell returns. But anyway, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 Dream Warriors, or as I call it, Freddy Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, is the infamous part of the franchise where he starts terrorizing suicidal teenagers in kind of a rehab facility. This was actually supposed to be the final Freddy Krueger movie, but it went on to earn more money than any others. It was the highest grossing Nightmare film, and obviously people at New Line were like, well, f*** that, we're going to have the Part 4 out next year, then Part 5 out the year after, then Part 6 the year afterwards, and totally hammered Freddy Krueger into the ground to the point where it was just a cartoon copy. He was the Arnold Schwarzenegger of horror. He was just whipping out his one-liners.
Do you think it was better or worse that someone like Jason was completely mute? Because you got Jason and Michael Myers, and both of them, not a word.
No, and they still go to this day. Freddy Krueger has kind of phased out, especially since they did the remake. But yeah, even though he did have a very little bizarre cameo in Space Jam 2. But, which is a great thing to put in a kid's movie, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Along
bet
with
it
the
is.
Droogs. It's like, come on, Warner. Jesus Christ. This was also a couple of other debuts here. It was the film debut of Patricia Arquette.
Really?
Yes. Who infamously got her head put through a TV
Yeah.
in the movie, not in real life. And it's very bizarre because you've also got Lawrence Fishburne in there playing one of the orderlies. 10 years into his actual career, well, 8 years since Apocalypse Now, I guess, when he first appeared. But he's actually playing an orderly in there. So his career was still on the ascent. And funnily enough, the script was written as the first ever Hollywood script writing credit for a man called Frank Darabont.
Oh, Mr.
The director of the Shawshank
Redemption, yeah.
and The Green Mile. And his first ever movie writing credit was A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors.
I don't really suppose that's anything to be sniffed at. I mean, Johnny Depp's first on-screen credit was in the original.
Yeah, I mean, horror does that for a lot of
Yeah.
people. A lot of major stars kind of get their start off in horror. I guess
Kevin
it's,
Bacon. Yeah, there's another one in the original Friday the 13th.
Yes, also known as Babe.
Yeah.
But funny bit of trivia with you mentioning that you saw this on the same day as you watched The Evil Dead 2. This was an infamous story around this movie that the Freddy glove was stolen from the set, only to be discovered on the set of Evil Dead 2.
Yes, I think I remember this one.
And it even shows up on screen in the...
It's in
is
the
it
woodshed, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that must have been Wes Craven and Sam Raimi having a little fool around with each other. The interesting thing, I mean, yes, it's probably one of the most memorable. The visual effects, especially for the time, were absolutely incredible. The makeup was great, but strangely enough, it was originally not supposed to be the script. A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 was the original movie to have the plot of Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
So that kind of meta narrative.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which they then abandoned and went with this Dream Warriors one. And then they went and made the amazing, and it's amazing. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is still one of my favourite horror movies of all time.
I wanted to go see that at the cinema because that came out and I was 15. I was old enough to watch it. And I made the mistake of telling my mum that I wanted to go see it. And she said, "No, you're not going seeing that. It's too scary for you." I don't know why my mum suddenly sounds like Paul O'Grady because she sounds nothing like it. But, you're too young for that sort of thing.
Yeah, but and to be honest, Nightmare on Elm Street for me, it's always the original, the first one, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Those two films, if those two films just existed and all the others didn't, I'd be fine with that. But out of all of the other movies around it, probably the best one out of all the others is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors.
Okay.
Definitely Robert Englund's, it was his peak for Freddy Krueger, and he obviously went on to do even more Freddy stuff. But this was the point where he was still scary as the character. It was not vastly over the top. It was starting to get there. But this was still a horror franchise and not a kind of homage to, corniness and cheeseball stuff that came afterwards with the Dream Master, the Dream Child, Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare, which was not Final Nightmare, and then Freddy versus Jason.
I like Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, I suppose you have to, really.
Yeah.
But yes, so A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors, 35 years old this week. It's all right.
Yeah. All right, then. What else do we have?
Okay, can you believe, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
And you know this because I've already mentioned it. 20 years ago this week, Ocean's 11 was released.
Oh, yes. Yes. This kick-started off kind of the cool revival of the early 2000s, didn't it? And also created loads and loads of films and TV shows which had that weird kind of shots.
That soul bass style.
Yeah, we have one shot kind of swooping on top of another and that first shot going out of frame and things like that.
Yes. It reinstigated the coolness of the 60s movie like this. And it's one of those movies that is just all around good.
It is.
It is. It's perfect. I will honestly go and say that it is absolutely perfect, this movie. But it almost wasn't. And I shall explain this.
Explain away, Andrew.
I shall. Well, first of all, directed by Steven Soderbergh, the master of... Well, he's just the master of his craft. He really is. From everything from his debut with Sex, Lies and Videotape to his movies like Traffic, Erin Brockovich, Behind the Candelabra. He just knows how to involve you in a story and make it look so cool as he's doing it as well. And of course you have probably one of the most impressive collection of casts other than Mars Attacks, which we'll get into next week. And but it wasn't originally going to be George Clooney as Danny Ocean.
Who was it?
Brace yourself. Originally cast in that role, apparently, and I'm sure Bill will tell me differently, Bruce Willis.
Right.
Who had to drop out due to other commitments, and I'm guessing that probably would have been with the whole 9 yards or something like that.
Yeah, I can't imagine Bruce Willis in this role because George Clooney has got that suaveness that echoes the Rat Pack era. Whereas Bruce Willis, even when he is at his most charming, he's missing that.
Yeah, and I'm guessing around this time it would have been either Bruce was doing the whole 9 yards, Bandits, and Hearts War as well. So he had all of them. So maybe it's a blessing that he did drop out because I doubt we would have. I mean, he makes a cameo in, is it Ocean's 12?
Yeah, Ocean's 12, which is the weakest of the three. Yeah.
As himself, which I don't know if that's the laziest kind of idea he's had since the last 20 films he's been in. I just couldn't imagine Bruce Willis doing that.
Was this also like the solidification of the Brad Pitt eating in every scene cliche?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that is definitely there.
Because it's a drinking game in itself, isn't it?
It is. It is. And it goes over how many movies?
Oh,
all three of them, I think.
All three of them. And I think he was doing the same thing to some degree in Fight Club as well.
Yeah.
But he was a bit leaner in that.
Yes. Then you have Don Cheadle doing the worst Cockney accent you will ever hear in your life, but somehow getting away with it.
Yeah.
Right. And that role, I think, was originally offered to Ewan McGregor, and then it was offered to Lenny James, who would have been perfect. Lenny James would have been absolutely amazing. Or Idris Elba as he was younger.
Yeah.
You know, they would have got it. But Don Cheadle came in, and he's uncredited in the movie.
Yes, he is, isn't he?
And do you know why?
Why?
Because he demanded top billing alongside Clooney and Pitt, and when he didn't get it, he said, "Well, I don't want to be credited at all."
Well, he wasn't that big of a name at the time.
No,
I mean, he was well known in terms of being a solid performer, but he wasn't like a name.
No,
Not in the same level as the other two.
It's like, come on, Don, you were doing like a 5-minute scene in Rush Hour 2 the same year. You know, but you know, and I like Don Cheadle.
So do I.
But it was a very Terrence Howard move, which is very prophetic, I guess.
Yeah.
So imagine if they'd have replaced Don Cheadle with Terrence Howard in the second one. But then again, he was making Hearts War with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Stories that I like about it, I mean, you've got an amazing cast there, and you have, is James Caan and is it Casey Affleck?
Yeah, you've got James Caan, Casey Affleck.
They're playing the two brothers, aren't they?
Yep. Then you've got Matt Damon.
Yeah.
George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Don Cheadle.
Bernie Mac.
Oh, God, what's the name of the old...
Elliot Gould.
No,
and Carl Reiner.
Carl Reiner, that's it. And then you've also got Julia Roberts.
Yes.
And...
Miss 20 Million.
Yeah, Mr... Oh, God, yeah. And Andy Garcia. So it is a hell of a cast.
And Andy Garcia is the best thing in this movie. I'm telling you, he really is. I love Andy Garcia in this movie. It was like the role he was born to play. But the two brothers that Scott Caan and Casey Affleck play was originally cast as Luke and Owen Wilson. And Luke and Owen Wilson dropped out to do the Royal Tenenbaums for Wes Anderson, obviously showing their allegiance to Wes Anderson as they always do. And Danny Glover was actually cast in this movie as well, and he dropped out to do the Royal Tenenbaums as well.
So Wes Anderson was basically poaching all of Steven Soderbergh's cast.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying it's quite a coincidence.
It's a hell of a coincidence.
Yeah. But the other little stories that I kind of got from this, especially from like either talking with Bill or doing a bit of chatting around, it was party time for this cast for the entire thing. They were gambling in between the takes. They had Betty pools going on. George Clooney had a keg of Guinness installed in his hotel room. No, that's hardcore. I like that.
Yeah.
I want to reach that level of fame where I can just say I want a keg of Guinness installed in my hotel room. And Steven Soderbergh originally wanted to make this movie in black and white.
I could see why. I'm glad he didn't, but I could see why.
You can kind of see that from the poster art.
Yeah.
There is of it. And apparently Warner Brothers were like, yes, but we're going to get you to bring the cost of the movie down. So bring the budget down if you want to do that. And they're like, well, we can't really do that because all of the actors are already working for way less than their regular pay. So they ended up just sticking with colour. And the thing that really stands out about this entire movie, if you haven't seen it, listen to that soundtrack.
Now, I was actually going to bring up the soundtrack. One,
Yes.
it is a fantastic soundtrack with lots of stuff. Is it David Arnold, the composer? Because I always kind of get him mixed up. But it's a great soundtrack, and I went out and I bought the soundtrack. But it's horrible the way that they've done it because they've got lines of dialogue from the film, but those lines of dialogue are over the music.
Oh, why?
I don't know. Like, you've got the wonderful closing song. I think it's called 99 Police.
Yes.
And but it's got like the voice clip of him going 911. What's your emergency? And then that over the top of it. It's like, no, I want to listen to the actual music. If I want to listen to the music and listen to stuff from the film, I will watch the film. I've bought the soundtrack because I want to listen to just the music. Thank you. It's annoying. Hot Fuzz did that as well.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. But yes, Ocean's 11 is 20 years old this week, and it is a classic.
Absolutely.
It is amazing. And go and check it out. There's two more on anniversaries this week. And although these films did not reach number one in the UK, or maybe even not even get a wide release, I thought they were worthy of mention.
Okay, well, let's see what we've got then.
You've probably not seen them, but I'll sell them anyway. Can you believe, Steve, 30 years ago this week, a movie called Gladiator was released. And no, it is not the Ridley Scott, Russell Crowe Gladiator.
Oh, damn, because I was going to come in with I've seen that.
No,
I haven't seen this one. Do tell.
Now, Gladiator was like a young urban boxing movie, right? That's kind of set in, I think it was Detroit. And it was directed by a director by the name of Rowdy Herrington, which is a great southern name.
That's brilliant.
It is. Rowdy Herrington. He directed Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze.
Roadhouse.
And he directed Striking Distance with Bruce Willis. So,
Striking Distance.
yes. So he kind of made the kind of lower tier action movies, I guess. He was just kind of bordering through. And it's the story of a young boy. Yeah, he lives with his father, but his father's like a serious, like either gambler, played by John Hurd, who is the dad in Home Alone. And he's obviously poor. He's left home alone a lot, and his dad is in a hell of a lot of trouble financially. And he's just moved to the area and goes into school, and it's a very race war type thing there. And there's an underground boxing events going on with some of the students, one being Cuba Gooding Jr., and the main character is played by an actor by the name of James Marshall. And this was his first and last leading role in a movie. Prior to that, he'd been a regular on Twin Peaks. He was also in A Few Good Men, along with Cuba Gooding Jr. And it's a great movie. It really is a great movie and has a really impressive surrounding cast because you've got the big bad guy who's running the underground boxing is Brian Dennehy, the legend of Brian Dennehy.
Mr. One Half of FX himself.
Yes, he's the F. And Brian Dennehy even has a boxing scene at his old age and actually kicks the shit out of this guy. You've also got our other favourite husky-voiced actor in Robert Loggia. Yes, go on. You want to say it?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Family Guy, yeah.
Yeah, I know you reference Family Guy to every single thing. If you're giggling, I know that's what it's about. Plus, you've got Ozzie Davis in there as well. And it was the first ever produced movie by Frank Price. Do you know who Frank Price is?
No.
Frank Price, he was the head of Columbia Pictures throughout the 70s and 80s.
Right.
So he would have been the guy that greenlit like Ghostbusters and stuff like that.
Adventures of Baron
So
Munchausen,
yeah, all that stuff. Iron Eagle, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, even all stuff like that throughout the 70s and 80s. And then he obviously, when he'd stepped down from there, went on to producing films, and this film was released through Columbia. But this film actually did not make that much money. It was a bit of a flop and a disappointment, and kind of terminated the deal that he had with the studio. So Frank Price went on to set up his own production company called Savoy Pictures, which you may have heard of.
Rings a bell.
Yeah.
Are they doing more kind of like art housey stuff now?
I'm guessing so, yeah. For some strange reason, I had this vision that they did the movie Bound, but I'm probably wrong. But yeah, it was majorly independent stuff. I don't think they really did many big movies. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, Gladiator is a real cult classic. I actually do like the movie. And funnily enough, I was talking with Richard Mirish about it. And we've both kind of got a bit of a thing for this movie. And it's worthy of seeing. It's worthy of tracking down if you can find it. It's if you like your boxing movies, I know it was kind of overshadowed by another movie that came out called The Power of One that had Stephen Dorff and Morgan Freeman in it. And it was set against like apartheid with a very young Daniel Craig in it as well. But Gladiator is it's a killer little movie to watch. Okay. It really is fun.
Cool. All right, so we've got one more. Let's make it a good one, Andy. What have you got for us?
Well, I will do my best, but anime fans rejoice. Your time has come. 18 years ago this week, Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence was released.
Good.
And you've not seen it, have you?
No.
Of course you haven't, of course. Well, it was directed by Mamoru Oshii, who directed the first Ghost in the Shell movie, which is undeniably a classic, which you probably haven't seen either, but he had also directed animated movies like Avalon, Skycrawlers, other movies like that. The reason why I brought Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence up is because this was the first ever anime movie to be nominated for the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival.
Oh, okay. No, that is a bit of a coup, yeah.
That is huge. When you consider movies like Akira and stuff like that that are monumental in animation, this movie was the first ever anime to be nominated for one of the most prestigious awards in all of film. That pretty much says how monumental this movie is. The other monumental thing about it is, I think it was Studio IG or Production IG, whatever the company was for Mamoru Oshii, actually co-financed this movie with Studio Ghibli.
Right.
This was the first ever time this had been done, and it was mainly because the budget of this animated movie was 20 million, which was huge for an anime movie. You think 20 million, you think, that's just a little bit over an independent movie, but for animation, that amount of money is huge.
Well, what was the average budgets for an anime around about that time?
Around that time, I'd say probably a quarter of that.
So around about 5.
Yeah, I'd say between 5 to 8 million, maybe, and that's for something major. When you look at it, it's like Jay says today. An episode of an anime series is around 1 million per episode.
Inflation. Don't you just love it?
Exactly. But I'm a big fan of Ghost in the Shell, the anime movies. I think every one of them don't seem to carry on, but this one actually does carry on from the first Ghost in the Shell movie. Beautifully animated. absolutely luscious to look at. There's detail in some of those scenes that's like that must have taken years to do, because it is so intricately detailed in it, and it's not in the box. But I do say you should check it out by yourself, especially if you want to see Mamoru Oshii's love of beagles.
Oh,
There's something very strange about Mamoru Oshii that in every single thing he does, there's a beagle. It's kind of his Hitchcock cameo, but he has a beagle because in real life he has a beagle or had a beagle. He incorporates it into all of his work.
something is telling me that I already knew that.
Yeah, if you saw the Scarlett Johansson version of Ghost in the Shell, there's even a beagle in that. And Mamoru Oshii didn't even direct that, but it was an homage to it because everyone knows he has this love of beagle hounds.
Oh, but I haven't seen that one either.
And even on the poster for Ghost in the Shell 2, there's a frickin' beagle hound on the poster for it.
So yeah, he's definitely into beagles.
Oh yeah, but he's never done a beagle movie.
He's a beagle maniac.
Oh, ba-dum-bum. But yes, I wanted to include that because I thought the first ever anime to be nominated for the Palme d'Or, which is like the crowning achievement of the Cannes Film Festival. If you've won that, you are instantly going to be released all over the world.
Yeah.
Being nominated for it for an anime movie, which anime movies are never seem to be taken as seriously as other big movies.
Not in the West, at least.
No, unless it's your stuff like Princess Mononoke and all the stuff from Ghibli.
It's basically if it's got Miyazaki's name on it. Then...
Oh, if Miyazaki's name's on it, it's guaranteed to be a record breaker. And this is kind of co-Miyazaki because obviously his studio was involved in co-producing on it. So it kind of gets a really big rub. But it's an impressive feat. It really is. But anime films, they really make piss-poor transversions of them. They're like games. It's really piss-poor transversions of them to film. And if you've ever seen that version of Fist of the North Star that they did live action, and it's worse, is one of my friends, Gary Daniels, was the lead in that. And then you had Chris Penn, and it was terrible. And that's probably the reason why Akira has still not gotten off the ground as a live action, and I don't think it should.
I don't know why there is this obsession with adapting films from anime into live action. It's like looking at all the Disney stuff which they brought out recently. Live action Beauty and the Beast, live action Jungle Book. It's not live action. It's all on a blue screen and you're drawing in CGI. It's still animated. I don't see the point. You've got the original, and the original is this wonderful little time capsule of gorgeousness and awesomeness. So why do you want to spoil that?
Hey, if it does something different, then that's fair enough. But I watched the I can't even call it live action, the CGI version of The Lion King, and it was like, why bother?
Because it's the exact same.
Yeah, and so
story.
was Beauty and the Beast. It was exactly the same, and it was like, okay, yeah, it was well made, but it's not something that I felt I needed to see again.
No.
But anime, they have the ability to do something different with it. And I'll tell you when it has been done good. And that was a couple of years ago when they did Alita Battle Angel.
I was just thinking of that. I did see that at the cinema.
Yeah.
I thought that was a wonderful film, but I think it was
is.
leaning a bit too heavily on the sequel bait, and I don't think we're ever going to see a sequel to it.
Well, true, but it was very faithful to the anime, although stretched out by an extra 2.5 hours, because the original anime was only an hour long. But and it was great, beautifully animated as well.
Yeah.
But I went to see this, and I hadn't seen the anime in at least 20 years. But when I sat down to watch this, I remembered things about it. And it was like, that's good. I've never had that experience before. Where it's like, oh my God, this is actually really... And I've only ever saw the anime once. But when I was watching the live action movie, it was a case of, I'm just getting flashbacks. I know where this story is going. So it's obviously had such a good effect on me. And it speaks well for how it's made. Because now I actually want to see how it all goes, and will they have this scene in it that comes up later on? Anyway, getting back to Ghost in the Shell 2, yes, I would recommend it. The first Ghost in the Shell movie is always going to be the better movie. but this is a nice add-on that you'll enjoy if you love luscious, beautiful anime.
Okay, well, that's 4 really, really cool choices.
Yeah, I mixed it up a bit.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that out of all of them, I was able to say, I've seen 2 of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
and one of them being just the odd number in a Nightmare on Elm Street series. How confusing.
Well, I think it's about time that we got our guest in, but before we do, here's a quick word from our sponsor.
You know, there are many different reasons why you would need a will, trusts, and protection of your estate following your death. At the end of the day, you want to pass it along to who you want, without those unwanted clawing at your hard-earned. In situations where you hate members of your family and you don't want them to have your stuff, or if you're with a partner long-term and are unmarried, if that partner has children from a previous relationship, or if you just want to give specific gifts to people, you need a specific kind of lawyer, that being Morton Young Solicitors. If you want to safeguard your assets from divorce, bankruptcy, creditors, those bad addictive habits, you need a lawyer who really works with you and dedicates their career to helping individuals and getting the right results each time. You need a lawyer to be approachable, explain the layout, and answer every phone call that you make. That is my solicitors. Contact Andrew Young at Morton Young Solicitors for a free first consultation. Morton Young, your personal professional for wills, trusts, powers of attorney, probate and administration of estates, as well as personal injury and litigation. My solicitors. Call Andrew Young at 0161 464 9731 or email andrew.young@mortonyoung.co.uk today and quote Poddywood as your reference. Well, you can't have a fresh plate of Poddywood without a fine wine to go with it, meaning you can't exactly have a good run without a midnight run. And I guess every season we all look forward to having our MVP, John Ashton, join us on the show. And guess what? Today is that day. He's here to discuss his varied career throughout the 2000s and join in his birthday celebration, which was yesterday. Happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday, John.
Oh, thank you. It was the Tuesday 2222 day.
In some circles, that's 666 added up. But yes, as always, the legendary John Ashton, straight from his home in Colorado. Good afternoon, John. How are we?
I'm fine. I'm cold. It's snowing and it's -6, but it's all right. You know, I'm inside in a warm place talking to you, so it's all good.
Yes, we like to catch you in all seasons.
Yes, because I think last time we talked to you, or it might have been the first time we did, you were saying that you were recording it on your balcony and it was just starting to get a little bit chilly, so you were out there wrapped up and you were having a cigar while you were talking to us now. It's like, nope.
No. I told you, I went out to the garage to get my headphones. It was -6, and I had to get flying back in. I didn't know I was going to have to bundle up to do the show, but.
I bet you had Trapped in Paradise flashbacks again, didn't you?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
We've got some talk on that because ever since we've had George on the show, he came on and did 2 episodes, but I'll get to that in a little while. But right now, you can officially say you are actually in a part 4.
Yes, part 4. Am I the first? Part 4?
I think he's beat Bill Daly by 1 episode, but Bill Daly is slowly catching up because he's on again in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Oh,
But
okay.
I found out something today by doing a little bit of research. Did you know that IMDb is actually stating that you are set to return to Beverly Hills Cop 4 and that Judge Reinhold has turned down the Santa Claus 4 to return also?
Really? Well, you know more than I do then. No,
I think you need to get in touch with Netflix.
I think so.
Oh, no. I'm going straight to Jerry Bruckheimer.
Brooke, what's going on? I mean, it's there. Yeah. And the strange thing is, it's on IMDb under the Beverly Hills Cop 4, because I thought, I'll just have a check.
They've been talking about doing it for a long time, but I haven't had any word about it, other than what I read, So I don't know any more than you do.
Yeah, the top bit of trivia on IMDb for Beverly Hills Cop 4 says John Ashton is set to return. And, IMDb lies. But when I saw the one that Judge Reinhold has turned down the Santa Claus 4, it's like, realistically, this has got to be true because no one wants to turn down a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's where the safe money is.
Yeah.
It's hard to turn down this one. I think, if we all come back, if Judge and I come back and we're back to the Three Musketeers again, I can't see anybody not turning something else down to be a part of that. I haven't talked to Judge in a while actually, but we usually keep in pretty good contact. But I know they got that London Comic Con is this weekend, isn't it? Is it going on now?
Oh, I think so. I think he's there, isn't he?
I don't know if he's there because he and I did that a couple of years ago together with Steven Berkoff.
Wow.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. Steven was there for a day and he didn't show up the second day.
That just says it all.
Pretty much.
It's not really his cup of tea, I guess. But
well, speaking of conventions, we actually saw Judge Reinhold, didn't we?
We did, yeah. We saw Judge because he was there at the, at Andy Cleek's For Love Of Comic Con. I know that you were at the one with Judge in, was it Edinburgh? It was Edinburgh, wasn't it?
Edinburgh, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause that's where we kind of met each other for the first time, very slightly.
Right.
But yeah, when they did one for, I think it was for Love of 80s or something, and they had the Gremlins. It was Gremlins, wasn't it? Because he was part of the Gremlins.
I don't know if they wanted me to come back to London because I was kind of a pain, but not my fault. But that's when I got had to go to the hospital. I was in the hospital in London. I had an emergency surgery there, and it was a real nightmare. I mean, it was weird. It was I was sitting there signing autographs and stuff, and I thought I had something in my eye, and I started putting eye drops in. And then later they came over and I said, it feels like I'm looking through a screen door or something. And he said, right, hospital now. And I went to the emergency room and they put me in the hospital and I had a detached retina.
Oh, wow.
And said I had to get emergency surgery. And then they wanted to keep me in the hospital that night, overnight. And I said, no, I got to work tomorrow. So I went back to the Comic-Con to work. I left the hospital. And I had a patch over my eye doing the autographs, and social media must have picked it up because I had a line a mile long, and everybody was, "How's your eye, John? How's your eye?" I mean, the fans were great about it, but it was kind of a snafu in the whole process there, but.
So does that mean you got the full benefit of the English NHS while you were here and saved a lot of money on an operation?
No, that's another story. But anyway, but the thing was, and we're going to talk about this later, I think. But the thing was, I had brought my golf clubs over there, and I had planned to go up to Scotland to St Andrews to play golf, and I had booked my room up there and all that, and then all of a sudden that happened, and I couldn't fly anyway because of the stuff they put in my eye. So I took the train up to St. Andrews, and I sat on the golf course for 6 days on the 17th hole watching people come in and out. And it was so frustrating, because I couldn't play. And the funny thing is, a foursome came by, and they were going over the bridge to 18, and I said to the caddy, I said, "Would you take a picture of me on the bridge?" so I've got the picture now. I stood on the bridge and waved my hat, and the caddy says, "You look like a champion, man." And I said, "Yeah, I wish I could play, And anyway, that's it. So that whole London thing was kind of wacky, but it was fun.
Yeah, I can just imagine you on the golf course with one eye patch on, doing more slicing than a butcher, just constantly.
Right. Yeah. When they say keep your eye down, that was it too. That was the truth.
Well, funny enough, speaking of fun, as I mentioned just before we actually came on the air, we started off the season with George Gallo, a mutual friend of us both now. And yes, I did ask him about the train story, of which he kind of told us a bit, but we kind of
Yeah.
feel there's something else here because he says he can't remember. So he says he remembers you guys were drinking and you got off, and apparently you had to run for the train with it because you had to restock.
Well, yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. Those are my old days, the old days that I did that. But
the Marvin days.
yeah, and we stayed up all night on the train, and George had his guitar, and we sat up playing the guitar and singing, and had the greatest breakfast ever on the bar car there, and pancakes, the greatest pancakes I ever had. It was a fun trip.
That's all the stuff that he never mentioned. He mentioned that there was alcohol involved, which naturally, but he didn't mention anything about breakfast foods or guitars or anything.
But he did mention one thing. He did mention, was it the Circle K?
Oh, see, now he mixed it up. It was a Safeway market, not a Circle K.
Oh, right.
That's why when you said Circle, I read the Circle, and I don't remember that story. No, it was a Safeway market, not a Circle K market.
Okay.
Oh, you're going to have to visit that episode. They have lovely things to say about you, as you know, everyone
Well,
does.
the De Niro, the funny thing that De Niro did, because that was really the only thing to do was to walk down to the Safeway market. It was like a half a mile away, and you walk to the Safeway. So Bobby and I were sitting in our chairs on the set one day, and these two crew guys walked by, and one of them said to the other one, "What'd you do last night?" And the other one says, "Oh, I walked down to the Safeway." And De Niro looked up and he said, "Really? Which aisle were you in?"
That was the one. Yeah, that's the one that George said.
Yeah.
Well, yes, so we're here about to talk about your career moving on. We kind of ended off with Instinct, which was the last project that we discussed on your last episode.
Closing down the 90s.
Down the 90s, and you kind of entered
98.
2000. Yep, we entered 2000 with a project called Avalanche.
Yikes.
You remember this?
Well, yeah, I do. We shot it up in Anchorage, Alaska, and then we moved over to another little town, Windsor. I think it was something like that. It was about a half an hour away from Anchorage. So, you remember? You know who R. Lee Ermey is? Played that drill sergeant in the movie.
R. Lee Ermey, yes, Full Metal Jacket and
Full Metal Jacket, yes. Well, he was in the movie with an Avalanche with me. So we were going to move the hotel from one hotel to the other to go up to the other town to shoot up there, and I was going to the laundry room to do my laundry, and Arlie said, "Where you going?" I said, "Well, I got to go wash my underwear and stuff." And he says, "What do you got to wash those for?" And I said, "Well, we're going to go up there and I want to clean my underwear and stuff." And he goes, "You don't clean underwear." He says, "Go to Walmart, buy a 6-pack, it'll last you 12 days." So you wear one side for 6 days, and anyway.
Well, because he was a drill sergeant, I'm guessing he's probably, you wear it 2 days on the front, 2 days on the back, turn it inside,
Exactly.
do it another 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, then he said, then you throw them away and go buy another 6-pack. Don't wash them. He was pretty funny. But that was a pretty interesting thing to do. I mean, it didn't do well at the box office, but work-wise, in Anchorage and all around Alaska, it was a trip. With the Northern Lights were absolutely unbelievable. We were on the set one day and shooting something, and somebody ran in and said, the lights are out. We all ran outside the soundstage, and it was just gorgeous. It was unbelievable. It's weird, Sometimes you do movies that don't do well, but you had a blast doing them.
I was going to say, because in the last episode we talked about your time doing Trapped in Paradise, and that was a snow movie, and it seemed like it was absolute hell to shoot, and yet this is also a snow movie, and yet it turned out to be a lot of fun. What was the main difference between the two then?
Well, I mean, just being up in Alaska was kind of a trip, talking to the people up there and going to these little towns, and I find that exciting, and it was fun, and the people I worked with were fun, It was just it's just a cool place to shoot. I had a good time. And Trapped in Paradise, that was miserable, but the movie came out pretty good.
Well, George has actually mentioned that a lot of people who have been coming up to him in recent years with Trapped in Paradise saying that they now have a newfound appreciation for it. Has that happened to you? Have you had people saying, "Oh, I actually kind of liked that movie that you made way back when"?
Yeah, that happens a lot, actually, because I'm mostly known for Beverly Hills Cop and Midnight Run and stuff like that, but I just did this autograph show in Hollywood, and I couldn't believe a number of people that came up and kept quoting lines from Some Kind of Wonderful, They just, and it's kind of one of those things that people just find somehow, and like Midnight Run, that's a famous story. I mean, I had a meeting with Henry Winkler to do a project, and that was right after Midnight Run came out. And I mean, he just said, "What a fantastic movie! Why isn't that being nominated for stuff?" And he said, "What a great movie!" It took the audience time to find that movie.
Yeah.
And now it's like a cult hit. But when it first opened, well, I think I told you the story about when it opened, but I mean, it was never publicized, and when it first came out, and finally it took years for people to find it. Now it's a big cult movie, it's kind of weird that way.
Yeah, and funny enough, in kind of doing the research, there was another film that kind of cropped up around this time, and you're obviously known for being in, I guess you call them like gun movies, action movies, and things like that. And you did a small film called Bill's Gun Shop.
Right.
Which, from what I'm reading up, it seemed like a very kind of anti-gun message movie.
Well, it sort of was. I played Bill, the gun shop owner, and Cooper played the young kid that worked for me in the gun shop, who has since become a terrific director. He directed the thing with Jeff Bridges.
Yes, Scott Cooper.
Scott Cooper, yeah, he played the kid in it, and now he's a big director. But
yeah, he directed the film Richard Mirisch produced, Black Mass, with Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
and Out of the Furnace and movies like that. He really has come along. I didn't even realize it was him until you just said that.
Yeah. I worked with him on Bill's Gun Shop, and he hasn't hired me, but it's all right. But what was the name of the movie? What was the Jeff Bridges movie? It was a good movie. Really good
Crazy
movie.
Heart. Yeah.
Crazy Heart. Yeah.
What an amazing movie.
It was wonderful. It was a good movie. Yeah.
This is all stuff for in the box for you, Steve.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I know of Crazy Heart. I've not seen it. I'm aware of the poster of Jeff Bridges playing guitar.
Yeah, it's a really good movie, yeah.
So, I mean, how was Bill's Gun Shop? Because it's a movie that's kind of been forgotten about a bit.
It was an independent, very small movie anyway, And a good friend of mine, Tom Bauer, he was in Die Hard. He played the crazy janitor down in the basement.
Marvin.
His name was Marvin, yeah. That's Tom Bauer. He's a good friend of mine. We play a lot of golf together. Well, he was good friends with the director of Bill's Gun Shop, so he introduced me to him, and that's how that all happened. And so we went to Minneapolis and shot it, and kind of interesting. It was fun. It was a cool movie, but like I say, it's one of those things that it wasn't studio backed and very independent.
So some would call it a real movie. So,
yeah,
I'm quoting. If anyone wants to give me a Marvel movie,
we didn't have any flying guns in it, or anything. Don't get me started on these Marvel movies. I guess some people like them. But.
Well, speaking of flying, you ended up coming over to the UK to star in a miniseries called Family back in 2003.
No, that wasn't me.
Is that not you?
No.
That's what you get for stealing my question, Steve. I would have asked it right.
All right, fine. Ask the question properly then.
2003, called Family?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun to talk about.
yeah. So you were there. You were having your eye worked on at the time, and somehow they filmed you, and you didn't know.
Yeah, we'll just move the camera to his bad side, and that way you
Right.
won't see it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, apparently you played a character called Martin in 2 episodes of a British TV series called Family.
No, you know what? I think there's an English actor named John Ashton.
Oh, someone's well credited you in it.
Oh my god, we feel like such idiots.
Oh
No,
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 The
that
full
hap-
blame goes on the person. It's on John's IMDb.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
I know. I've seen a couple of things on there that I haven't done.
Oh well, this
But,
episode's going to be absolutely brilliant from here on in.
No,
We're on thin
no,
ice until we get to Gone Baby Gone.
No, the funny thing, I think there's an English actor, John Ashton, and he's the one that did it.
Wow.
Because I looked it up, I think, one time. But I'll tell you, the weird thing is, Denver is only 60 miles from where I live, and they've got theater down there, and there's a John Ashton down there in Denver, and I was playing golf one day up here in Fort Collins, and somebody said, "Hey, what happened to you? Why weren't you in that show that night?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And this other John Ashton was doing a play down there, and these people that I know were happened to be down in Denver shopping or something, and saw that the play was on, and they bought tickets and got a hotel room and spent the night and went to the play, and they said, "And you weren't even in it." And I said, "No, that's the other guy." And this guy's been driving me crazy, and he's a member of Screen Actors Guild. And he's supposed to go by John Carvin Ashton, and he never does. And I've met him at a couple of shindigs down in Denver, and I said, "Why don't you change your name?" And he says, "You change yours." He's one of those guys. I said, "Well, I think a lot of people know me, but when they know you,
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
it one of those situations where they come up to you and just say, "Oh, I'm looking for this John Ashton who is in this"? Well, that's not me. Oh, well, I've got $50,000. Yeah, that's me. I'll take his pay for using my name.
Really. Well, that happens.
Well, in that case, I guess we've got to talk about gargoyles, because apparently you're in a movie called Reign of the Gargoyles.
Reign of the guy, yeah, shot that in Bulgaria, Sofia, Bulgaria, actually. I got a phone call. This is no kidding. I got a phone call like on a Friday afternoon, and the guy that was, and I can't remember his name, he was doing that movie over there, and he told the producers he wanted me to play the general. So I literally got the call like on a Friday afternoon, and they wanted me to be in Bulgaria on Monday. Well, I had to get all my stuff together, and I had to fly. Took a flight from Denver to Frankfurt, Germany, Frankfurt to Dusseldorf, and Dusseldorf to Sofia, and went right to work on Monday. And I was exhausted, but that was a weird movie.
Yeah, this is the kind of movie, Steve, that I think you would love.
I'm looking it up right now, and it actually is. For those of you who don't know this one, just looking at the box art on IMDb, it's ripped off the exact same font from the Disney cartoon Gargoyles.
Yes. It does.
But yeah, it's US fighter pilots fighting NASA-controlled mythological gargoyles. Now, how on earth can that not be a hit?
Yeah, well, no, it was actually sort of interesting. I've never seen it, but it was kind of interesting.
Just take the money and tell him it was the other John.
No, there are several things that I've done that I've never seen. I don't go see my stuff, so even the ones that are hits, I go to the premiere and that's it, and I never see it again. So I'm just, I'm not. I just, I've seen it. I can't change it. It is what it is, and there's no, why watch it again? I've watched Midnight Run a couple of times only because, and it's one of those movies I flicked by it and on my TV, and then this one scene was on, and I went, "Oh yeah, I remember that scene," and then I started watching it again. But no, I really don't. I don't know why. And like I say, there's a few things I've done that I've never seen. So we were doing Midnight Run, and Bobby went to Daly's one day, and he came back, and I said, well, you went to Daly's? And he said, yeah. He said, but he only goes once. He wants to see the cinematography, and he wants to see his wardrobe to make sure that looks good. He looks at all the technical stuff, not his performance. I understand that.
I think for an actor, that's probably the only way you can keep sane, really, isn't it? Because if go in and analyze everything, it's just going to drive you crazy.
Sure, but I mean that even goes for the final production, I mean, I'll go see at the premiere, and I'll sit there and I'll go, what happened to that? Why didn't they, and I start analyzing everything. It makes me crazy. So, and I'm basically a stage actor. I got my degree in theater and did a lot of theater in Germany and England and Scotland and the United States. And, you don't get your chance to see yourself when you're doing a play, You're up there and it's your deal. That's it. That's why I always say, theater's the only actor's medium, because it's you and the audience, and that's it. And nobody can yell cut, and nobody can say let's do it again. And so the theater is the only actor's medium. Film is basically a director's medium, and television is basically a producer's medium. No, that's just the way I feel. I know what I did. I mean, when I'm on the set. And when I'm doing a play, when you're on and when you're off. You know that. You can just feel it from yourself, from the audience. You can feel that vibe from the audience on stage, and when you're hitting it and when you're missing it. You really do. So I don't need to go see a film to know if I hit it or missed it. I really don't. Unfortunately, sometimes they take the scenes that I missed rather than hit.
Well, in speaking of a director's medium, you then, I hate to say re-emergence because you actually were working, but for a big Hollywood movie, it was Ben Affleck's transformation from an actor into a first-time director with Gone Baby Gone.
Right.
So how did this all come about? Was it your previous relationship with maybe Ed Harris, or was it something you auditioned for, or were you just in the right place at the right time for it?
No, I was the first one cast in it, actually.
Oh. Really?
Yeah. Ben Affleck wanted me. Ben had done, Marty Brest told me this, by the way. Ben did that movie with Marty, Jiggly, when they did Jiggly, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
And Marty told me this, that Ben came up to him one day on the set and said, I want to be your next John Ashton. And Marty said, what do you mean? And he said, well, John's done 2 movies with you and nobody else has. Because Marty never cast the same people twice. But he did with me. So Ben said, I want to be your next John Ashton, which was kind of cool. And so when Gone Baby Gone came up, I got a call from my agent and said, Ben wants you to do this movie. So, I did. And I had, not only that, I had read all of Dennis Lehane's books. I said, wow, to do a Dennis Lehane, book, and it'd be fun. So, yeah. And I didn't find that out until I got to Boston. And the casting director came over to me and said, you're the first one cast. Ben insisted on having you, which was kind of a compliment. It was nice,
Yeah.
No,
So then when I made a phone call to the production office, and I said, by the way, who's playing my partner? And they said, well, we're trying to get Ed Harris. And I said, oh, that's perfect. That's great,
We were going to ask you about that because you've told us previously that you two have quite a history going back in the theatre. So what was it like when you were on screen together?
Oh, it was just like old times, It was just, we trust each other so well, that... Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I mean, we did True West together on stage and both won the Drama Critics Award. And the first film we did together was Borderline with Charles Bronson in 1980.
Wow. Oh, my God, I remember that movie.
Yeah, I played the Border Patrol guy and Ed played the bad guy in it, the mule that was smuggling them all in. And I played one of the Border Patrol agents with Bronson. And that was kind of a trip. That was one of the first major films. I did that after Breaking Away, actually. But and then Eddie and I did True West right after that in '81 We did Borderline in '80. And so we've been working together, and we were in this theater group, the Met Theater in Hollywood. We've been together for 30 years, so it was just great working with him again. He's a great actor.
There was no danger of him trying to strangle your face this time.
What, trying to rip my lips off? Yeah.
I mean, the relationship between the characters, Ed Harris and yourself and these characters, you can tell that it really did give off the vibe of these two guys who were partners for many, many years. And the natural chemistry was there. And I think the only thing that really acted you guys off the screen was Titus Welliver's mustache. That mustache. We've had this conversation before when we reviewed when Steve watched Gone Baby Gone for the first time.
Oh my God, that mustache should have had billing all by itself. Sam Elliott was there going, "Get my agent on the phone."
Well, apparently the reason why he was filming Deadwood at the time, and he was going back and forth, so he couldn't actually shave the mustache off. So it was there for the entire movie. That's why it feels a little bit out of place. It's like, does anyone seriously have a mustache like that anymore? I don't know if I'm envious because I never grow a mustache. I would never have the determination to grow that handlebar.
I've got a full beard now, so that it's just I try to keep it because when I need it, I've got it, and if I don't need it, I can shave it in 5 minutes. So, that's why a lot of actors keep those beards, because it's easier to shave it than it is to grow it.
Mine just hides my chins. I like to say it hides a multitude of chins. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that later when we talk about Once Upon a River, but go ahead.
So, with this being Ben Affleck's, this is the first time he's directed, apart from, I think he did a short. Someone was mentioning, one of our guests had told us, I think it was Richard Mirish, I'm not sure, about Ben Affleck doing a short film that they were kind of involved in.
Oh God, I can't remember the name, but it was one where
Tommy. It was Tommy, yeah.
I killed my wife and now I've got a 3-picture deal at Disney or something like that.
Yes.
Something it was called. Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick funny story. We were on the set, and we were shooting a night shot, and I'm sitting in my trailer, and all of a sudden there was a knock on my trailer, and I thought they were going to call me to the set, and I opened the trailer and it was Matt Damon, and he wasn't in the movie, but it was Matt Damon, right? So I said, "Hey, Matt, how are you?" And he goes, "John, look, I know you're working." I'm telling you, he was like a 12-year-old kid. Honest to God, it was so funny. He goes, "John, look, I know you're working, but I just wanted to stop by and say hello because I'm a big fan of yours. I really like your work." And he was like this little kid, And I said, "Well, thank you, Matt." I said, "I like your work too." And all of a sudden, he called me to the set, and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, you got to go to work. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you."
He was giving you the full Tom Ripley.
No, it was beautiful. He was great.
Oh, that's wonderful! Multi-Oscar award-winning Matt Damon.
Yeah, I'd love to work with him. He's a good actor.
So was Ben kind of comfortable in the role? Was he kind of nervous as a first-time director? Did he receive a lot of help from the cast at the time? What are your memories of him on his first feature?
Well, he was nervous, I think, because he was into the script all the time. He had a great crew, by the way. The crew was fantastic. He's got John Toll as a cinematographer. He's got all these Academy Award winning crew members and stuff. So, that helps you a lot. Believe me, I'm getting ready to start to direct a film, so I'm thinking of all this stuff. But he was just very concentrated on the script and in the book, and Eddie had read the book too. In the book, there's this great entrance for Eddie's character and my character. It's the scene where Michelle and Casey are in the bar shooting pool, and these guys start hassling Michelle, and then they try to get out. They're leaving. Well, in the book, they can't get out and you find out that there's a little crack in the door, and they can't get out because Eddie and me have our car pushed all the way up to the door so nobody could get out. and I'm on top of the car going woo 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 woo, and Eddie, and so it was a cool entrance, in for the characters, and it wasn't in the script, and Eddie and I asked Ben to put it in there. We said, hey man, you got to give us that entrance, man. It's a great entrance. And he said, well, I'll try. And then a couple days later, he says, no, I can't. So he was kind of, and I'm not putting him down for it, but he was kind of stuck into the script. He wouldn't let us play with it. And so unlike Marty, who lets you fly with it, Ben just wanted you to stick to the script, It was kind of like, if you want a robot, get a robot. We're actors. We want to create something here, So, but I'm not putting them down for that. But it was a little frustrating at times.
I mean, on the movie, it looked like it was absolutely freezing cold. So, did you have any tough days shooting on the movie?
Yeah, it was cold because we shot a lot of it at night. And the one thing that I finally got Ben to do, but the scene where I get shot, you remember the movie?
Yeah.
When I get shot? Well, it's up on this porch of this old house and stuff, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're shooting this, and they got the stunt guy up there to do me getting shot, right? And I know a little bit about guns, so I'm watching the scene, and Ben and I are sitting in the chairs, and we're watching a monitor, and this stunt guy gets shot, and he goes flying over the railing of the house, I mean, like he got hit with a howitzer or something, he gets flying out of, and he gets shot with a 22, and a 22 ain't going to do that to you. So I'm sitting there, and Ben looks at it, and we watched the scene, and he said to me, well, what do you think? And I said, it sucked. And he goes, what do you mean it sucked? And I said, you wouldn't get shot like that with a 22. And he looked at me kind of challengingly, and he said, you want to do it? And I said, yeah, I'll do it. So I got up, got dressed, did all that stuff, and got in there. And when I got hit, I just grabbed my neck and kind of stumbled away. And then I sat down on the porch, and then I think about it, and I go, oh, my God, I'm shot, And then I get mad that I got shot. And, you go through these different emotions. And then I get on and start to stand up and then fall down on the ground. And then Casey starts doing that. So anyway, John Toll is over there with the camera, and he's circling around, and he's doing this. And so after we get done, John Toll said to me, that's the greatest death scene I've ever seen. And I said, well, thank you. And then when the movie opened, they did a line about that. In the review, they said, John Ashton gives one of the most disturbing death scenes. And, so I wanted to send the clip to Ben and say, here, see that? that was a tough night. That was a tough night.
Yeah, because I saw that movie for the first time because it got pulled out of What's in the Box. And I remember getting to that point, and that is a pretty shocking death scene, really, because I think it is so natural.
Right.
For it, because everyone thinks, oh, you get hit by a gun, you do go pinwheeling through the sky and then land in a ditch 5 miles away. But lots of it is it's like being punched. I
ad-libbed the whole thing, just my feelings of. It's not the pain that happens at first; it's the shock of getting that he's pissed off that he got shot for one, and then he realizes, oh my God, I am shot. And then he starts to stand up, and the bullet, and then I fall down, and I don't go flying over a railing or anything, It's like, and I, believe me, I love stunt guys. I'm not putting stunt guys down at all because they're fantastic, and they risk a lot of stuff. But I acted the scene out. I didn't play it,
Yeah. Well, one thing which was a little bit troubling with the movie was the timing of its release here in the UK, because it coincided with the news of the abduction of Madeleine McCann. Now, what were your thoughts and the thoughts of the other people involved in the film round about this time when such a horrible thing had happened?
We had a premiere here in Hollywood, and that was it. And after that, I just kind of went on to my next thing, But I didn't realize that had happened. That movie was delayed because of that.
Yeah, it was a big thing, and it still is a big thing to this day. It's one of those things that's never been solved. That always kind of rears its head every year. But
Now, who was? I can't remember now. It's been so long ago. Marilyn McCain was abducted by. Was she ever found?
no, it's still one of those haunting cases. She was, how old was she around, Steve? Can you
She
remember?
was about 6 or so.
About 6 years old. There was a British family. They were on holiday. They went out for tapas or something like that, but left the little girl in the apartment, and apparently she was abducted and it's never been seen again. And there's documentaries about it all on Netflix, and it's been one of those really haunting stories that never really kind of goes away because new stuff still cropping up about it to this day. But I do remember at the time, Gone Baby Gone was due to be released, and it kind of got pulled right around the last minute and delayed because they saw it was kind of in bad taste. I was just wondering really if it affected like any other like premiere plans that you were planning to have maybe in the UK or worldwide.
Well,
but it's interesting to know that it never even reached you guys.
Planning those premieres and all that stuff. So that's all the producer's job and stuff. And
Very
I think you're going to have to ask the producers that question.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it actually came back to you, if anyone had heard about it, the reason why it wasn't getting released in the UK when it was supposed to.
Like I say, I went to the one in Hollywood and I was done, and I moved on to my next thing. So I just,
Speaking of moving on to your next thing, you would then reunite with our good friend George on the movie Middlemen, which was in 2009, and it chronicles the story of Jack Harris, who was one of the pioneers of internet commerce, and the kind of explosion of internet pornography involving mobsters, drug addicts, etc., etc. Now, as George loves to keep his relationships, how did he contact you about this, and how was the pitch on it?
He just called me at home and he said, "Hey, do you want to still do this acting stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, why? What do you think? I just disappeared or something?" And he said, "Well, I want you to do this. It's just a cameo, this one day thing on a movie I'm doing. Would you do it?" And I said, "Sure, George, for you, I'll do it." And I hadn't read the script or anything. I said, "You want me to do something? I'll do it." And I flew down to Arizona and flew in one day, shot the next day, and flew out the next day. And then it was actually, I read the script before I went down there, obviously, but it was pretty cool. I thought it was kind of a funky movie, you know?
Yeah, it was really good. And I've just discovered a very bizarre connection here. That another actor starred in the movie, an actor by the name of Graham McTavish, who, Graham McTavish.
I know Graham McTavish, yes, Dwalin himself.
Yes, and he played Ivan Sokolov in Middlemen. But the interesting connection here, he was in the UK TV series Family, starring the other John Ashton. I'm sensing a pattern going on.
Well, I didn't get to meet him down in Arizona. We could have talked about it.
Yeah, well, I know that Graham's on Twitter, so we're going to have to send him a tweet saying, "Right, Graham, what happened here? Who was this mystery John Ashton?" Our fans need to know.
No, I'm going to send him the link to this episode when it's out. Say, Graham, you need to come on and straighten the mystery of which John Ashton it was. But Middlemen is actually a really good film. I mean, I kind of caught it off guard one night because it was just on, and I really got into it. Has an amazing collection of cast, as George Gallo always manages to get together. So you've got Luke Wilson, you've got Jimmy Caan, you've got Kevin Pollak, you have Terry Crews in there, Kelsey Grammer, the late Robert Forster, who is absolutely amazing. Even Cobra Kai's Martin Cove is in there.
Yeah, that's right.
Who we were talking about the other week. Just an amazing collection of talent in this kind of true story movie. And it's got this weird kind of Scorsese vibe about it as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's another movie that just, nobody knows about. It hasn't really done anything in the box office, and some of these movies just kind of disappear. It's weird, you know. I was playing golf the other day, not the other day. This was like 5 months ago. But some guy at the golf course came over to me and he said, "Hey man, I saw you on this cool little movie last night." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "The Middlemen." You know, and I went, "Are you kidding? Where'd you see it?" And he goes, "I streamed it somewhere." And I went, "Oh man, I didn't even know it was out."
And there's one thing I've also got to mention that I didn't actually have in a format, but it's just reminded me now, which is a kind of link between yourself and Midnight Run and Middlemen as well as a couple other projects. Unfortunately, Frank Pesci passed away just recently. Who is the infamous guy who is chained to your toilet in Midnight Run, who you're basically tormenting. And he was also in Beverly Hills Cop 1 as well. He was the guy with the cigarette truck in the very beginning scenes. And what an amazing guy. I actually did a bit of a read-up on him. And George Gallo's first movie, 29th Street, was kind of based on Frank.
Right.
So it's very weird that Frank's kind of had this kind of surrounding of our show recently without ever being on it, but his name always crops up. And unfortunately, he did pass away just last week, I believe it was.
Yep, a few days ago. Oh, he's in Trapped in Paradise, too.
He's in everything.
He was in Trapped in Paradise. He played one of the mob guys that kidnaps Nick Cage's mother.
Yes, he was. Oh my God.
Yeah, because George wrote and directed that, and because I knew Frank because I worked on all the films he worked on, so I knew him pretty well too, and he was a piece of work. But I got to say something about he was also De Niro and my meter in Midnight Run. You know.
Oh no, I've come back and I've referenced the meter with many people. It's a wonderful idea.
We will actually send you. We'll break that bit out so you can hear it, so you'll find out how hilarious that scene actually was when Steve put all of these different sound effects in to cover every episode. It was hilarious. Yeah. But yeah, Middlemen is an amazing movie, and anyone who's listening who has not seen this movie, you should watch it. It really is great. It's kind of a forgotten about masterpiece that not a lot of people have seen, but everyone kind of needs to discover.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll be able to find it on one of the streaming platforms somewhere. It's got to be somewhere.
It's probably owned by Disney nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of go from there. You take a lead role in the movie called Uncle John.
Yes.
Oh, thank God it was you. We got the wrong John to play Uncle John, but no.
No, that was a treat to do. I really enjoyed that, and that's another one that they just got a hold of me and sent me the script and asked me to do it, and I said absolutely, and I loved the script, and the character was different and fun to play. You know, it's kind of like Columbo in a way. You know who did it right off the bat in the beginning of the movie. Uncle John did it. And then the whole movie's about, people trying to find out who killed this guy. And Uncle John is the nice guy, the farmer who, helps everybody out and stuff. And but it's a cool movie. I loved it. We shot it in Wisconsin, and I was very proud of it. And we won a lot of festival awards for it, too.
Yeah, and had a very early role for Alex Moffat, who is now one of the Saturday Night Live regulars.
Yeah, he played my nephew in it.
It was a really good little film. One of those movies that kind of just appears. It's kind of creepy in a sense as well.
Oh, I know it. There's just it's kind of a funny backstory, but there's a scene where I'm helping one of the neighbors with the plumbing in her house, and so we go to shoot the scene, and she's playing the scene like she's scared to death, and after I fix her plumbing, and she's trying to hand me the pie, she baked a pie, and she's going, well, here, I made you a pie, John, and she's playing it like, so I said to Steven, the director, I said, Steven, why is she playing the character that way? You know, the thing is, she's playing the character like she doesn't want to get killed because she knows John. And the thing is, John, nobody knows that John's the killer. And anyway, it was a funny. For the actress, it was funny, and we had to tell her, no, you don't know anything about John. You don't know he's the killer. You're just being kind and offer him the pie to say thank you for the plumbing. And
there's not many films where it kind of the very opening of it, you're just dragging someone into like a field to burn them.
No, but that's kind of the thing. You know who did it right off the bat, and the whole film's about, you know, them trying to discover who killed the guy, and the audience knows it's me. You know, I loved it. I really, and Ronnie Jean Blevins, who's in it, who plays the guy that I killed's brother. We did the film together, and he knows, he suspects it's me because of family backgrounds and stuff. But anyway, then Ronnie and I later, a few years later, did Death in Texas. But we'll talk about that later, I guess.
So, John, around about the time, you start working on a number of pictures with Frank D'Angelo.
Yes.
I think the first one of them was The Neighborhood, and you end up working with Danny Aiello throughout these movies, as well as other cast members like Armand Assante, or as Steve says,
Amanda Sante.
And also, you spot the difference in delivery there.
I only really know him from Judge Dredd.
He has the greatest over delivery in Judge Dredd of any movie I think I've ever seen. It's brilliant. Stallone off the screen in any scene.
I haven't seen it. I'll have to watch it. He's actually a pretty cool guy. But that was a great cast. Giancarlo Giannini, John Savage was in it. Danny Baldwin was in it. Geez, who else?
We had Margot Kidder. It was her final movie.
Yeah, Burt Young was in it. A great cast. It was, yeah.
This sounds like the most American cast I have ever heard of a movie in my life. It's like if you were going to pick anyone to work with in like mid-1990s, we want like real actors in a movie. Be like, we want Danny Aiello, Armand Assante, we want Burt Young, we want Margot Kidder. Everyone we've grown up loving movies with. Yeah, and the plot of The Neighborhood was...
it's the two families fighting each other, yeah.
Yes. Not in the shotgun stories type of way, Steve.
Yes. And it's not called Verona either.
No, I got that one. I actually
you got that one?
Get that one.
Yeah.
I did. Yes, I was very happy with that one. Thank you. I'm here all week. Was Frank a friend of yours prior, or is he someone you first met on The Neighborhood and has started appearing in a couple of his films afterwards?
He got a hold of my agents, and my agents called me, and he said, Frank D'Angelo wants you to do this movie up in Canada. So he called my agents called me, and I flew up there and did it. But Frankie is a trip. He's a trip. I did, how many movies with him? 3 or 4 movies. On those 4 movies, I worked approximately a total of 8 days.
Wow.
He's unbelievable. He shoots a movie in 2 days.
Jeez.
He's unbelievable. I mean, I was on the set of The Neighborhood. I couldn't believe it. I mean, he's got a crew that's just unbelievable. And you do one take and you're out. Boom, next. And you better be on your toes. And one day we were on during The Neighborhood. It was Franco Nero, Danny Aiello, and me, right? So we're sitting in one set, and Frankie goes, okay, come with me. And we just don't know where we're going. And we get into this van and drive 2 blocks away and go into this barber shop. And it's a real barber shop. And he says, oh, okay, John, you sit in one of the chairs, and Danny, you and Franco sit at this table and play cards, and you guys start arguing, and John, you just jump in and, and blah, blah, and okay, let's go. And the scene came out pretty good. We had lived this whole scene, and then he goes, "Okay, cut, let's go." Jumped in the van, boom, next location. He's unbelievable. He's absolutely unbelievable. And not every actor can work with him because you got to be on your toes. We shot The Last Save, which was a hockey movie, and Making a Deal with the Devil, which was a kind of a gangster movie. We shot them both at the same time. And honest to God. And
is it like Roger Corman style?
Roger Corman, yeah. I mean, he's just unbelievable. Well, Roger Corman, I worked with his wife, anyway. The movie I did with his wife, I think she was trying to make a movie cheaper than her husband, anyway. And it was a terrible, terrible, terrible movie. And I hope I hope it's not on my resume anywhere. Anyway.
If it is, just blame the other John Ashton. It's fine.
Yeah, right. Good idea. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, we would shoot like one scene, and all of a sudden I go back to my room, my hotel room, and I get a call, and they go, "Okay, we're going to shoot this scene at 5 a.m. And, we get up, and then we're doing a scene from another movie, from Making a Deal with the Devil. We shoot that scene in a coffee shop, and then we go back to the hotel, take a little nap, and okay, get up, and we got to go to the ice rink to shoot this scene from The Last Save. And I mean, it's unbelievable.
Wow.
And we shot it like in 4 days, 2 movies in like 4 days. It's just unbelievable.
That is staggering for me to hear, because just from a simple point of logistics, never mind having to sort out the different contracts and everything, just a simple way of being able to get locations and get the crew in and out and so forth. That is insane.
Well, a crew, I mean, they had to be working 24 hours a day. I mean, at least as an actor, you got go back to your room for an hour and take a nap, and then, go do another scene. And it gets it done. And he gets it done.
I'm guessing were they non-union?
I don't know. I don't know.
You're taking the fifth on that one, I think.
Yeah. I'm taking a fifth on that one. I leave that shit up to my agent. I just give me the script and let me go to work. That's my attitude. So. You guys handle. That's why I hire you. You guys handle that stuff. So.
Yes, yeah. Get me on the plane. Get me my hotel room. Get me my pages, and let me go to work.
That's it. That's exactly how I am. Where am I staying? What time do I have to be there? And what scenes are we doing? That's all I want to know.
Well, one project I know that is very close to your heart was around this time when you did Once Upon a River. You've mentioned this film a couple of times in the previous episodes, like we've been building up to it, and because obviously it is something that is very special to yourself. What can you tell us about Once Upon a River?
Well, my manager called me and said they're interested in you. Actually, they wanted Bruce Dern for the role, but my manager handles Bruce and me. And Bruce was working at the time, so he mentioned me to them, and they went, "Oh my God, that'd be great. We'd love to have John." So his script is taken from a book. The book's fascinating. I read the book, and the script was great, and a young female director was doing it, and the story's about this young Native girl, half Native, and she runs away from home in the beginning through all these family tragedies that happen, and her father gets killed and stuff. And anyway, she takes off up the river to go find her mother, who'd abandoned her when she was about 2 years old. And on the way up the river, she meets these different people. And one of the people she meets is Smoke, my character, who's a hermit that lives on the river. He takes her in out of the weather and stuff, and she stumbles across them, and he takes her in, and he's a special guy, and there's no sex involved or anything. It's just his character and their relationship. And we've won all sorts of festival awards, and I went out to the woods and sat in the woods and read the book just so I could read it in that atmosphere. And and their relationship that develops. I mean, she takes care of him, and he takes care of her. And then she goes up. She finally leaves and goes up the river, and finds her mom. And her mom's a real jerk. And then she leaves and goes back to smoke. And I don't want to give anything away, but it's a beautiful story, and I loved playing the character. I mean, I just melted into that character like I did with Dorfler, and I didn't feel like I was acting. I was being, you know.
Yeah.
I tell a story when we go to these festivals and have Q&As after, and when I first met Harula Rose as the director, I flew to Chicago, and we shot it up in Antioch, Illinois, up by the rivers and lakes up there. So I first meet her, and we go out to dinner, and I was having some dental work done, and I had a partial plate in my three front teeth. I had a partial plate. So in the middle of dinner, I said, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And I went to the bathroom, and I took the partial out. And I went back to the table, and I smiled and showed her. And I said, "What do you think?" And she said, "Oh, my God, would you do that for the movie? How did you do that?" Because I had no three front teeth were missing. So I did it for the movie, and I had a full beard. Luckily, I was growing a beard at the time, so I kept it for the character. And it was just it's just a beautiful story, and it's all about the characters and the story, and it's no blow-ups and bullshit. As a matter of fact, we showed it at the Bentonville, Arkansas Film Festival, and they had a screening one night, and that, again, I saw it the first showing of it, and we did the Q&A, and then she says, "Okay, I see you, Harula." And she said, "We're having another screening, in a couple hours." So I said, "Okay, I'll be there after the show for the Q&A." And she said, "What? You don't want to see it again?" I said, "I saw it once, and that's all I need to see it." she kind of shook her head. She couldn't understand it. So anyway, I go back later for the second screening, and I come into the Q&A, and it was just the end of the movie was just going on as I came in, so it was pitch dark. And then all of a sudden the movie ended, and I feel this big hug, and this crying, and this big hug in the dark, and I don't know who's hugging me, and I go, "Oh my God, that was just beautiful," And all of a sudden the lights came up, and it was Judge Reinhold. Because he lives in Little Rock, and he only lives a couple hours from Bentonville, so it was so weird, like big bear hug. Oh, that was beautiful, man. So
is that a banana in your pocket, or are you just no? Never mind.
You're just happy to see me, yeah. No, so anyway, the movie's beautiful, and like I say, it's I've won a lot of awards on it and the festivals and stuff. But go see it if you can, and I think it's still streaming somewhere. But I'm very, very, very proud of it.
Yeah, the movie was it was made in 2019 and only got released last year officially. So was there a kind of holdup?
Well, no, actually, we shot that in 2017.
Wow!
And when we were supposed to open it 2019, and it was going to open in theaters and everything, and then the pandemic hit, and so it never did. So it's kind of unfortunate because it's a wonderful film. And Kennedy De La Serna, who plays the young girl, is her first film, and she's absolutely fantastic in it. And we had such a great relationship in the film and off camera too. So yeah, if you can, go see it. I'm very proud of it, and it's something very unlike I've done on film. I've done those characters on stage before, but I've never had the opportunity. They always want me to play a cop on film or something. But I felt like I was doing a play while I was doing it.
So it's really one of those different kind of movies that come along every once in a while, I guess.
More of a character piece.
Very, very much of a character piece, yeah. And there's a minor, some shootings in the beginning and stuff, but very minor. The movie's about her and her travels and her growing up, and it's a wonderful film. I'm very proud of it.
Well, when I finally got to meet you, first time we were in the same room together, I should say, was at the Edinburgh Comic Con for the love of Edinburgh, I guess. I don't know. For whatever they decided to call it.
For the love of haggis.
For the love of movies, or it was something like that. And you were there with Judge. When we got talking, I think we were texting and messaging each other through Facebook, and you were just about to take a flight to go and film the movie Death in Texas.
And Ronnie Jean Blevins, who's my nemesis in Uncle John, wanted me to be in the movie, and Ronnie Jean's the lead of Death in Texas. And Edinburgh was cool, but I did theater in Edinburgh. I was there 6 weeks in Edinburgh doing theater at the Edinburgh Arts Festival, and that was back in 1970. And we did like 15 different plays and repertory. I was on the USA Festival Theater Tour, so it was kind of a homecoming to me coming back there. But we were so busy all the time in Edinburgh, I never had the chance to get out and do anything, or go see anything. I love doing these Comic Cons and seeing the fans and having fun with them and doing reminiscing and stuff. But the bad part is you never get a chance to see anything. Judge and I were in Stuttgart, Germany, and the same thing. I had done theater in Stuttgart, and we were in a hotel or the convention center the whole time and never got. So anyway, it's fun to do. But anyway, Death in Texas. They wrote the role for me. Ronnie really wanted me to play, and I play a dirty cop that becomes a hero at the end, and Bruce and I are kind of. I play a sheriff, and he plays he owns a ranch, and he's a drug smuggler, and I'm in cahoots with him smuggling the drugs in, and then later I find out he's smuggling girls in too, and that's when I turn against him and go with Ronnie. And so I kind of change partners there and become the hero. And I don't know if I should give this away, but it's kind of famous, so I probably should. Bruce Dern is the only person to ever kill John Wayne on camera.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
In the movie The Cowboys,
yeah,
Bruce Dern kills John Wayne, and he was notorious for that. And Bruce told me a funny story. He said, right before we shot the scene, John Wayne said to him, you're going to be the most hated man in this country. And Bruce said, not in Berkeley, I won't.
Oh, brilliant.
You know what Berkeley is, a very liberal. Anyway,
Yeah.
So I get to kill Bruce Dern in Death in Texas. And I play the sheriff. And you never know my name. They always call me Asher, Asher. Well, at the very end, after I shoot him, I call to get an ambulance to come out, and I say, "This is John Wayne Asher." so it's kind of a Hollywood inside joke that my name is John Wayne and I shoot Bruce Dern. So it's
I love it.
Genius. You go through an entire career just to get a moment like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Death in Texas is a movie that you can actually catch on streaming. I think it is on Now TV here in the UK, and it is a great movie. You should check it out. We kind of had this conversation just recently where we're talking about how a lot of, well, I guess you could call Hollywood movies, they're all kind of stale and all run off the same kind of platform, but these movies are the most rewarding watches you can get. And it's like you were saying on last week's episode, Steve, because you got to watch Brokeback Mountain for the first time.
Yes,
and
I
it
did.
just completely changed your perception of that movie with just one watch.
Mm-hmm.
And these independent movies are real movies. And you've had just this outstanding career that we've now covered over 4 episodes. 4 episodes! I think we'd have to get Bruce Dern on to beat 5. But no, I mean, your career has been absolutely fantastic, and you're still belting out these amazing roles to this day.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, but don't think you're getting off the hook of coming on this podcast again, even though we've covered your entire career. We're bringing you on for other stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm here. I'd love to do it. I'd love doing it with you guys.
Well, you might not love this bit, John, because earlier today, before we came on, I threw out something on Facebook saying, okay, we're going to have John Ashton on the show, and if you have any questions for the man, then ask them, and we will ask them on air. Are you ready for this?
Sure. Can I say no? Can I say no?
Oh, of course you can say it.
No, I know.
It doesn't mean that we'll pay any attention.
No. Man, I love doing this. I love doing this stuff.
If you don't want to answer, just say the person's name and say, go F yourself in true Marvin style.
The only thing I won't answer is something I might get sued for. That's believe me, I have a lot of opinions that I'm not going to put on the air, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, well, our very own music man, Neil Pretty, straight out of the gate, asks how many bananas can actually fit into a tailpipe?
I never tried it, so I don't know.
I would assume it'd depend on the make of car, wouldn't it?
Yeah. True. And you might have a dual. You might have a dual instead of a single pipe, you know.
Yeah.
Or one which has got a really large bore on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It depends on your muffler, doesn't it?
Yes. John's response is bend over and he'll show you.
Hey, yeah, right.
So,
and you do know the original script, there was a potato. You do know that.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So, funny enough, oh, for God's sake. James Meakin. This is the name we've heard way too many times. Will you sign his banana, please? He said,
well, I don't know how to get it.
Neither does Jim. Okay, so
can I just go to the store and buy a James Macon banana or what?
Yeah, sure enough. We'll just get you to sign his coffee cup. There we go. Yeah, I think he'll be happy on that. That coffee cup has actually been outside of the hotel where the actual banana in the tailpipe scene happened. I took it there just for him because obviously I don't have anything going on in my life. But James Meakin also asks, during Beverly Hills Cop, were you ever caught off guard by any antics going on?
No, we had a few, but I think I mentioned this before. I know guns pretty well. And I'm really careful with them on the set. The only thing that shocked me a few times were, a lot of times the prop guys will give you guns and way before they should. And there were a few times Eddie started shooting his gun between his legs and stuff. And I'm going, hey, man, these ain't toys, And then the one thing, Ronnie Cox in the second one was supposed to end at a certain date because he had another film to do. And if they didn't end by that date, they had to pay him like this enormous amount of money. So he went over and all this stuff. So there was a TV show called The $6 Million Man with Lee Majors.
Yeah.
So on Ronnie's trailer, Judge and I got a piece of masking tape and put it over his name and wrote on there, The $6,000 Man. And of course, the assistant director came, who did that to Ronnie's trailer? Who did they? And the judge and I were just kind of sneaking around. And another funny thing we did, we were shooting on the streets one day during Beverly Hills Cop 2. And the first day we were shooting, somebody stole Eddie's chair back. Where it's got the chair back that says Eddie Murphy, Axel Foley or blah, blah, blah. And the second day, somebody stole my chair back. And then the third day, somebody stole Eddie's again, So, we were getting them stolen. And Judge came in fuming one day. And we said, what's the matter with you? And he goes, nobody's stolen my chair back yet. So Eddie and I stole it and hid it on him, And he came running to the set with a big smile on his face. Somebody stole my chair back. Yay! And Eddie, he didn't know that Eddie and I took it.
Okay, next question. What would have been your opinion on a spin-off series based on characters from Beverly Hills Cop? I think there was actually a TV series or a TV pilot that they did.
Yeah, it never sold.
Yeah, which was it supposed to be the son of Axel Foley or something like that?
Oh god.
Yeah, they shot it. They shot it, and I wasn't in it. And Sean Ryan, who was directing it and wrote the pilot script, called me and wanted to meet me. So I flew out to California to meet him, and I read the script, and I wasn't even in it. So I had the meeting, and he said, we talked and talked and talked, and then he said, well, I just want to ask you, if the show goes, will you be in it? And I said, I don't understand why I'm not in the pilot, and he said, well, we want to change some things. And it was about Eddie's son, and who gets in trouble in L.A., and then Eddie comes out, and, Eddie was actually executive producing it, and he did the pilot with him, but it was shot for CBS. It never got picked up. But Judge even told me, because Judge did a cameo at the very end of the pilot, and Judge told me they were sitting there having lunch, and everybody at lunch said, where the hell is Taggart? How come Taggart's not in this?
You retired at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Down in Mexico or whatever it was.
Playing Arizona.
Arizona playing golf. That was it.
That was the one.
So hopefully they'll do Cop 4 and I'll be in that. And according to you, I guess I am, but I don't know.
Joe, the amazing thing is, funnily enough, I'm going to pull this up here. So on Beverly Hills Cop 4, and the only person who's actually listed in the credits is Eddie, of course, because there wouldn't be a movie, I guess, without Eddie Murphy. There'd be a TV pilot, I guess, with his son.
But didn't you say that I was signed to do it or something?
If you go on to IMDb, the first piece of trivia that comes up under the Did You Know, and it's highlighted right there, John Ashton is set to return. It wouldn't be right without you in there, and we've said that before.
Well, and Judge. It's got to be the three of us. I mean, Eddie says that in the second one. He says, come on, man, we're the Three Musketeers. Doing it without us just doesn't make it the same movie, I don't think.
No, no, it doesn't.
Maybe it's the other John Ashton. Maybe it's the John Ashton in England that they're going to...
Oh, imagine that screw up.
He turns up on the first day really glad to be working in Hollywood. Like,
Well, I'll tell you funny. I don't know if I told you this, but Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson, after the first one was such a hit, their idea to do the next ones, they wanted to go all over the world with them. And the second one was supposed to take place in England.
Yeah, in London, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted, and which I thought would be funny with, Judge and me and Eddie screwing the bobbies up in the Scotland Yard and all that stuff. I thought it would have been hysterical. But Eddie didn't want to go out of the country, so we never did it.
Well, apparently the filming locations for Beverly Hills Cop 4 is Detroit. So that'll have to do, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Not as glamorous, really.
No.
But,
no.
Well, we're hoping by the next time that we do have you on, we are actually going to hear that is an actual reality.
If I find out that it's a reality and I'm in it, I will email you and tell you.
Awesome. That we'll break that exclusive on here. That'll be even better.
All right.
Well, even though that is a number 4, we do have to ask you about your Nominate 5.
Now's the time to nominate 5.
Nominate 5?
Yes, nominate 5. Not 3 or 4 or 6 or 9. Now's the time to nominate 5.
Okay, and Nominate 5. What could we possibly ask and Nominate 5 for John Ashton? He's been here 3 times before, but we know that he has played golf all over the world. And yes, I know that we did a golf-themed one on Rick Rosovich's... Rick Rosovich?
Rick Rosovich?
Did we have Rick Rosovich on the show?
Who the hell's Rick Rosovich?
Rick Ravanello. I do apologise. I
Yes.
wonder if he gets that a lot. I loved you in Top Gun, man. That was a Top Gun. But yes, in the Rick Ravanello episode, yes, we did focus on his top 5 favourite people to play golf with in the celebrity realm.
Yes.
But for John, being the well-travelled golfer that he is, we want to know where his Nominate 5 for the best golf courses around the world that he plays on. Are you ready to tee off, John?
Okay.
Okay. Let's go for number 5. What have you got for us?
Riviera Country Club in Los Angeles.
Well, that might be the one I'm going to play at.
Oh, Riviera is great. I've played it about a half a dozen or about a dozen times. It's great. Great. That's where they just had the Genesis tournament, the PGA did, last week. It's a great golf course.
Wow.
Okay, so what's number 4 going to be?
Pebble Beach.
Where's that?
Pebble Beach is in Monterey Bay. They have the Pebble Beach. It's a great golf course. Spyglass,
Yeah.
which is right next to Pebble Beach.
Oh, so Pebble Beach are getting 2.
Yeah.
So that means what number are we at now? 2? Yeah.
Yeah, we got number 2.
Well, we're on 3, aren't we? We're on 3. We're on 4.
See, this never
I
goes
said
well.
Riviera,
Yep.
Pebble Beach,
Yep.
Spyglass.
Yep.
That's 3.
Yep.
I'm saving the best one for last, and I'm trying to think of one before that. Just about anywhere in Hawaii, I would say,
Oh, of course.
because I played Kanapali. I played all those up in Maui. I played just about all of those, and they're great. And number 5,
Number 5 or number 1, whichever way this is going. But the favourite place.
Cypress Point in Monterey Bay, the mecca of golf.
So that's where all of the best golf courses are.
Oh no, the 3 up there: Spyglass, Pebble Beach, and Cypress Point. They're unbelievable. Monterey Bay has just got some great golf courses up there. That's where my getaway. When I lived in Los Angeles, my getaway spot was Carmel, which is up in Monterey Bay. And as a matter of fact, I was up there I had just finished doing the movie in Paris with Gerard Depardieu. And I had just finished that, and I went up to Pebble Beach to play golf. And while I was up there is when I got the call to do my series hardball. Mm-hmm. And I had made all my tee times, and they said, you got to be here on Tuesday. I said, I have a tee time on Tuesday. I'm not going to be there Tuesday. And I played golf, and then I went there. But that was a long story. I was negotiating my thing with hardball. So it's a great golf courses, like I said. And Hawaii's got some good ones. New Zealand's got some strange ones.
In what way?
That's the first time in my life I played a golf course, and I went to go. I hit my ball, in the trees, and I went to get it, and I saw a sign that said, "Beware of quicksand."
Okay.
Swear to God. I mean, have you ever seen that on a golf? Beware of quicksand.
So it's a literal sand trap.
Yeah. I guess.
Well, there you go. For all of you golf nuts out there, you now know where John Ashton says the best courses in the world are. And we want to see you go play them. And hopefully I'll be hitting the white stuff. I really am going to LA. Hitting the white ball at the Riviera myself, or whichever golf course it is that Bill is taking me on. And hopefully you'll get the time to swing out there as well, John. It'll be good to get you on the green.
Actually, I'm going to Florida next week to play Joe Namath's tournament in Florida.
Nice.
So that get out of the snow here. So, and I know, and you're going to be in LA. Try to play Riviera. It's a great golf course.
I will. I'll send you a picture when I'm looking there completely out of my element. And you'll be like, look at this asshole.
You just need to hold the club by the thin bit.
Yes.
That's the best piece of advice.
Beware of the kikuyu grass.
I think I bought some of that in Amsterdam.
Yeah, well, the rough there is kikuyu grass. You got to swing it as hard as you can to get it out of there.
I'm just going to concentrate on putting that little white ball in one of them hole things.
That's it.
Well, okay, John, what have you got going on? You've mentioned that you're getting set to direct your first feature.
Yes,
do you have any other projects in the wings?
Yeah, kind of. But I'm looking at that now. I'm really kind of excited about that. Actually, the producers of Death in Texas, I was talking to them, and they're talking to me about directing something. So I'm reading scripts right now, trying to decide what I want to do. Actually, there's a book that I read years ago that I would love to have made into a movie, and I'm talking to them about that. But but I've got some other scripts here that some writers have sent me, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. It'd be interesting, another aspect, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I'm doing.
Never too old to get into new ventures, John.
No.
You're
Absolutely.
an eternal
You know,
guest.
and I wanted to say earlier, we were talking about independent films and, you know, the films of Marvel now and all the blow up things the studios are doing. I just love doing these independent films, working with these young kids that are eager and great little stories that they want to tell, and they're so excited to be at work and get away from the jadiness of Hollywood. You know, it's like everybody complaining about everything and stuff. And these kids are, you know, they're so energetic and they're just fun to work with. They're just great to work with. Believe me, I get scripts. I turn stuff down all the time. I go, I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. My agents get all frustrated, and you know, it's nice to be at the point of my life and my career that I can choose what I want to do. You know, so and I want to do good stuff. I want to do stuff that's meaningful to me and hopefully sends a nice message to an audience and not just some, you know, guy zapping somebody. You know, it's just.
No, I'm fully in agreement with you. You know, we're hoping that whatever projects that you've got going on, you're going to come and talk to us about them, and hopefully they'll tick all the boxes. But oh, wait a minute,
Yeah.
ticking the box, Steve. What's in the box?
Oh yeah.
What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Please don't pick American Christmas, okay?
Well, by the sound of things, I don't think that's going to be an issue.
No, actually, people that have seen it really like it, but it's kind of corny.
However, to qualify for what's in the box, you have to be certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and something tells me it may not be. Don't know, haven't had a look at the rating. We could be wrong. But to qualify for what's in the box, like I said, it has to be certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Andy has got a list of films which are in a box, and he's going to pull out the name of one, and if I have seen it, then he's going to keep pulling out names out the box until we find one that I haven't seen, and then I'm going to go away and I'll watch that the day before we record our next episode.
I love that. The fact I have a list in a box. No, I don't have a list in a box. I have a box where I just pull names out.
Okay,
So,
you know.
oh God, don't confuse our listenership, Steve. Come on, we're only like
What, both of
40
them?
episodes in. Yeah, both of them. Yeah. If we lose one, we're not getting any funding. Okay. So I've dug my hand into the box. I pulled a couple out here just in case, because I think the first one, yes, you will have seen, and it is Disney's animated The Jungle Book.
Oh, yes, years
Of
ago.
course. Yeah,
Yes.
Who hasn't seen that? Okay, let's go for the second one. Might be our first Ryan Reynolds movie. Have you seen Definitely Maybe?
Was that Ryan Reynolds?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, Definitely Maybe is your movie for next week.
Oh, have I?
Oh, don't do this to me again, Steve.
I'm pretty sure I haven't. Okay,
This is how we started the season off. Definitely Maybe. It's Ryan Reynolds. It's Elizabeth Banks. Is it Isla Fisher?
Oh, that, no, I've not seen it. No.
Ah, cool. Okay, well, you've got it.
No.
You get to see Ryan Reynolds being his most Ryan Reynolds in a Ryan Reynolds movie. So
Where he's not
you'll-
wearing a red suit.
Yes, exactly. So you'll have fun with that. And if you want to watch it yourselves, do watch it. It'll be on the beginning of next week's show. You'll hear about Steve's first viewing of it. But for now, we want to thank our MVP, John Ashton. Every single time we get you on, we have fun. And you're going to continue to come on. We're going to find a way every single season to have you come on something.
I would love to. I'd love talking to you guys. You're a lot of fun. It's like sitting around the pub talking. It's fun. Although I don't sit around pubs anymore. Those days are long gone. But anyway,
Well, you can still sit there, but it's what you're drinking. That's what makes a difference.
yeah. And believe me, I love the pubs over in your country. So
If it helps you, Me and Steve have only been to the pub together once in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We managed to get out for one evening, and it was amazingly bizarre because it was like, wow, we both let ourselves go.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's pretty hard to beat a Guinness with some fish and chips. It's pretty hard to beat that.
Oh, yeah.
Doner kebab, mate. Doner kebab.
Yes, you usually see Steve outside with a doner kebab. And hopefully we're going to get you into one of these Manchester Comic Cons. We want to see you here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
know.
love to. I'm talking to them about it, and I'm talking to Andy about it. So
Yes, definitely. We
hopefully,
need to get you
hopefully.
over here because they're doing the Comic Cons back here in Manchester again.
Yeah.
And Manchester is one place we want to see you. We want to take out. We'll all have lunch.
Right. Well, I told you, I used to play a golf tournament there.
Yeah, which course was it?
We played, I think it's called Mere Country Club.
Yes. Obviously
it's
not
about-
enough to rank in the top 5, but you know.
No, but it was fun. Mere, it's about 10 miles outside of Manchester. Johnny Mathis had a tournament in Belfast, and we used to go to Manchester and play Mere, and then we get on a plane and fly over to Belfast for Johnny Mathis's tournament.
This show
Yeah.
is slowly but surely becoming about golf, isn't it?
Well, believe me, I've played enough of it over the years. So,
Yeah.
Did I tell you?
So-
Did I ever tell you that I followed Johnny Mathis on stage and brought the house down?
No.
We
That is a
were
story
in
we need to-
Manchester. Howard Keel, who did Oklahoma on Broadway, and he played Curly. Well, I did Oklahoma and played Judd Fry on stage. So we were going to the golf course one morning, and Howard and I were talking about it. So we start singing "Poor Judd is Dead" in the van that morning. So Howard says to me, "Hey, you want to do that at the show tonight?" So I said, "Sure, Howard, we'll do it." Well, Johnny Mathis goes on, and he has got the house mesmerized, right? And we're supposed to follow him. So I look over at Howard, and I said, "Howard, you want to follow that?" And he said, "We'll be fine, kid, we'll be fine." So we went up and did "Poor Judd is Dead" and brought the house down. So I can always say I followed Johnny Mathis and brought the house down.
That's wonderful.
That was awesome. Well, we're going to wrap up the show for today. As we say, it's been fantastic. We look forward to having you back. We look forward to seeing you in person. Hopefully, if I get a chance, I might hopefully get a chance to catch up with you in LA if you're in town.
Okay.
In the meantime, you look after yourself, you keep in touch, and
You too.
we will see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. And it's a pleasure always with you guys. And anytime I'll do another show with you.
But yes, so yeah, everyone, tune in to us next week. Bill Daly will be returning to reclaim his crown that John Ashton's just stole from him. He's coming on to talk about the anniversary of Mars attacks. Which, yes, exactly. So we will catch you then. Have you got anything to say, Steve, in English?
It's bye for now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.